As the title goes, it's about building a strong tourism value proposition for each of the 10 INCULTUM pilots. And just one word to link it with what Carol said and with the data workshop, because of course, you know, immediately speaking, well, value proposition and data don't, well, have no sort of obvious correlation. But the point is, of course, that we need to collect in INCULTUM, we need to collect data about something, and we need to use those data to prove that, of course, INCULTUM is doing what we set out to do in the first place. And since the whole project is about cultural tourism, we really need cultural tourism to happen, and then, of course, be able to measure it. So hopefully that link will become apparent, that we are asking you to focus, and when we start really focusing on the value proposition or unique selling propositions, as we've asked you to do, then of course it should actually facilitate also data collection and using the data for something that we can later rely on when we progress in the work that INCULTUM is supposed to do. Now I should I will share my screen. Where is the share button? There. And find my PowerPoint here. Okay, make it big. Do you see it?
Yep.
Yes, great. Now I should try to make it big screen here. Okay. Okay, so it should be working now. Now, of course, I mean, so I'm from a business school, although myself with a more humanist background, but let's see, we have a positive challenge here in INCULTUM. Each of the pilots, each of you out there, each of your projects, well, they all offer a rich and therefore also highly diverse potential for promoting cultural tourism in the target area. I don't know if you're familiar with the term blue ocean strategy. The blue ocean strategy basically is when, you know, you come up with an offer, you have something to sell or something to offer which nobody else is offering. So you're the only fish in the ocean. Ideally, of course, this is the kind of selling proposition that we should all aim for, because then you have no competitors. You don't have to compete on the marginals. So the challenge here is how
sorry, Carsten.
Yes.
Carsten, sorry, I think your presentation is stuck in the first.
Okay, stuck in the first slide.
Yeah.
Okay, let me.
I think if you could stop screen sharing and then try sharing again.
Okay, yeah, sometimes it works. Okay, I'll stop share and then I'll close PowerPoint and open PowerPoint again. Sometimes that works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll try that. Yes. And then I'll start PowerPoint. Okay, in any case, I was talking about blue ocean strategy, that, you know, the challenge is, of course, how INCULTUM can help, well, basically you all in pursuing some of these opportunities so that a positive outcome can be reached and also measured, hence the data within the lifetime of INCULTUM. That is our goal. So narrowing down the basic thing that we want to convey today is that it is actually important to narrowing down the scope of manageable sets or manageable USPs to something that that we will be able to measure during the lifetime, and also where actually, I mean, so the whole data collection and also the facilitation. Now, does it work now? No, I should probably, now I have to, my computer is in a bit of an overload, but I will just now have to share again and then hopefully it'll work. Okay. Share. Is it coming? Yes, it should be coming now. Okay, so do you see the ocean now? Sotiris?
Yes, we see it.
Yes.
Good. Let's see if I can make it a full screen, but I don't know. Tell me if that's the problem, okay? Good. Let's move on. So, well, of course, you know, these terms here come from a business school context. But basically, I think it is actually purposeful to think of it in these. Think of what we're actually also doing here and what you're doing out in the pilots in these terms. A unique selling proposition. Some calls it unique selling points, but basically it's the same thing. Is of course, you know, business terminology. So basically to supply customers with either a product or a service. Now, but we INCULTUM is about cultural tourism, and we want to, you know, we need tourists to come. So the selling proposition here is basically to ask, why should tourists come? What is it that makes your place or your pilot unique? And we all know that you have many ideas about this, but the point here is to prioritize. Basically, I'm asking you also for the purpose of this workshop to single out one, give priority to one, the most salient one. And then, of course, you know, why? So after asking why should tourists come here, what should they come here to do or see or experience? Then it comes back to you. So why do you want them to come? What is it that what your gain is? So there's this idea of gains and pains. That's again from business school terminology. So, but could one or two obvious gains from this selling proposition, this USP, be singled out for you? And of course, there might also be some negative effects of it, which is the pain. But basically, you know, the point here is to ask, why should cultural tourists come to visit? And come up with one basic reason or one unique selling point. Why do you want them to come? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to gain? And perhaps if it's necessary also to think about the pain. So is there any adverse effects of having them to come? Secondly, after prioritizing this unique selling proposition, the point is to ask ourselves, how can this be reached within INCULTUM? And once we are looking at one or a couple of USPs, how can we measure this? What data do we need to collect to be able to measure progress, and of course also to measure the achievement once we have achieved the goals that we want to achieve? So the points to consider here is what sort of indicators towards the end, and that then links, I hope links it back to the data workshop that we're doing today. What sort of indicators would be suitable for assessing to what degree INCULTUM here is the efforts have in fact contributed to promoting the USP and achieving some of the gains that we want to achieve. Now, I am a university professor, so and we asked you to do some homework before meeting here at the workshop, where you should precisely prioritize a couple of USPs. So please, now we should go into the breakout rooms. The plan is basically to have you present and to the workshop, well, to the group leaders, some 5 minutes per pilot to present the USP and answer the questions that we put to you. And then there would be also time for a short discussion in the group, not so much on repeating the USPs, but on a meta level. So basically asking how is it useful to think about prioritizing. So think about USPs and achieving the goals. And does it also help us in terms of identifying and collecting the data that we need to measure this? And then after that, after half an hour in group, we go back to the plenary discussion. Again, on the meta level, there's no point. We're not here basically today that everybody listens to the USP defined in each pilot, but to reflect on this exercise of prioritizing one or two USPs and identifying data, if to the extent that this is helpful. Okay, so please, Sarah.